Hello, and welcome to Realign Journey, the unfiltered guide to self-discovery and reconnection. I'm Siera Sambrosky, your host, and together we'll deep dive the topics that have caused each of us to lose touch with ourselves and explore the ways to reconnect to our true self. I have been starting each episode by asking my guests to tell me a pivotal moment, an event that has changed the way they were going about their life and really viewing themselves. This week, I have with me James Valentine again. He was with me last season, and I've asked him to come back again because we were having such juicy, good conversation. I'm super excited to have James here now. His intro is super short because we were already dive deep, just trying to catch up before we even started recording. So James is an ascension coach, healer, best-selling author, international speaker, quantum 360 business consultant, and recognized as one of the top 15 coaches of Las Vegas in 2023. So, James, like I say, we already started all this. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
yeah.
here.
It's my honor. It's my honor. And this is an ego moment, but I was recognized in 2024 as well. So two-time top 15 coach
Yay!
in Vegas. Yeah. But that's strictly
For
ego right
you.
there. But I'm excited. You
No,
know I
we're allowed
love
to be proud
connecting
of
with you.
ourselves. Yeah. I love you. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
yeah,
Um, so part of how we launched into the conversation before I hit record was I was saying to you, I had you on before. I like to ask people to share about a pivotal moment that they've had in life that really realign them or change things. And you're like, well, nothing's happened that great, pivotally, transformationally, exactly since the last time. But tell me what has changed and let's try and circle back to this conversation we were just having.
yeah. So so talking about ascension is I'm gonna lead into that first talking about ascension.
Mhm,
Ascension
mhm.
is always ongoing. It's always you're always elevating to new states of consciousness, higher states of consciousness. If we talk this time next year, there'll be even higher dimensions that will have been accessed. But where I am right now is really immersed in whether it's called continuum or parallel realities. I refer to it as parallel realities. And I
Mhm.
was talking to you. We were talking, and I was saying that our bodies exist in infinite parallel realities. Even the dream state that we think is, oh, I just had this great dream, or oh, I just had this scary dream, or oh, I just had this interesting dream. It actually represents a reality. But it's the greatest example of seeing how the body doesn't move, consciousness moves. Because
Mm.
on your bed, your body was laying, but your consciousness shifted to another body, experiencing whether it's fighting dragons or running or whatever was going on in your dream.
Mhm.
Your
Sure.
consciousness now occupied another body in what I refer to as another reality. So when you look at that as an idea, this version of James is a speaker, coach, whatever, but I can move in consciousness to a different version of myself in this very moment. In other words, I can be aware or I can be conscious of now being a mechanic, right? If I think about moments where maybe I worked on a car or whatever and feel what that felt like, I've now shifted into the version of myself who's a mechanic.
Mhm.
Now it's really about holding that frequency, right? It's holding the frequency of I am aware that I am a mechanic having a conversation with Sierra.
Mhm.
I know, and so it's shifting. My point is that it's shifting in consciousness. mechanic doesn't resonate as much with me, but it's essentially shifting in consciousness to the version of you that you want to be, and now looking at your reality from that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, you know, as consciousness, I am experiencing myself as a 54-year-old male with two daughters, living in Vegas, etc. It is because I am conscious of the fact that it is. It's not happening and I'm conscious of it. It's existing in my consciousness. So the way I used to talk about it is that there's a room in consciousness that we are occupying, but we can close that door and open up another room in consciousness
Mm-hmm.
where we are conscious of being a different version of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about moving to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
There's a version of you who still was where you were at. All you
Mm-hmm.
did is consciously merge with the version of you who was already in Florida. This version of you was already here. You
Mm-hmm.
just merged consciously with that version of you. And here's oftentimes how it looks. We have at times a desire for things, or we
Mm-hmm.
may be looking for direction. And then just an idea arises or an experience arises where now we feel like we're getting revelation that this is what I'm supposed to be experiencing. What you are essentially experiencing is that you are very close to the reality where that version of you already is. So if if I think at the beginning of the years when I first really started coming out fully as the Ascension Coach, I could feel as I got close to the year, okay, this year, this new year when it hits, I'm gonna start coming out with my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had the idea that that's what was going on, but the truth is, I was feeling the version of me who was already out. Because as we know, time doesn't
Mm-hmm.
exist, time isn't real, so everything is happening right now. So
Mm-hmm.
this version of me was already here back in October and November when I was going, you know what, this new year, I'm really feeling like this is a year and I'm supposed to really come out as the Ascension Coach. But it was only that I had been shifting through parallel realities to the point where I was very close to this version of me, and it arose as an idea that this is what I was supposed to be doing. It was just because I was close.
Mm-hmm.
So I often talk about desire, belief, and knowing. When we have a desire for a thing, it means we're shifting and we're very close to that experience. When we believe for a thing, we're even closer. But when we have a knowing that something is, I know that I'm successful. I know that I'm in my ideal relationship. I know that I'm going to be a millionaire. It's because we are now at the doorstep of that version of us who is already experiencing it. So it goes from desire to belief to knowing because you are now very close to merging with that version of you that already is what you desire.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Oh, I mean, it makes total sense to me. It makes total sense to me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I kind of try and break this down for some listeners? The first thing that came to mind as you were talking is, would you say, and I don't know, maybe not everybody listening, this is the thing, but this seems to be the new uptick in, like, we've moved from manifesting into quantum jumping. That
Yeah.
term, do you hear it a lot more? Like, all of a sudden, this is like, I'm hearing it a lot more. I'm seeing, and everybody's like talking about quantum jumping, quantum jumping. And so I I feel like for some people that will understand that term, that
Mhm.
is in some ways what you're talking about. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with it? Would you say that, like, for anybody listening, like, what you're really fleshing out is kind of this idea around quantum jumping?
I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. I read something recently, maybe a month, 2 months ago, where it was trending on TikTok,
Mhm.
quantum jumping.
Oh, was it?
And I would say, yeah, I would say it's essentially the same thing. It's just, again, once you identify with who the truth of who you are as consciousness. Again, we talked about this on our first one, and you know this, of course, that we're
Hmm.
we're not this mind-body construct. We're the consciousness that is occupying this mind-body construct.
Hmm.
And so when you recognize that everything is happening now, you can shift in consciousness to wherever you want to be whoever you want. So if that's from what I think I understand about quantum jumping, which is just, I'm assuming, the collapsing of what appears to be time and just instantly shifting into that version, then yeah,
Hmm.
that's exactly what it is. It's quantum jumping. I just call it reality shifting. I'm
Hmm.
shifting from one reality to another. I'm seeing one reality from the perspective of this version of me. But in a moment, I see reality from the perspective of from a different version of me. I do this practice with my clients, and it's where at the end of a hypnotherapy session, I have them imagine their greatest self. How does this person stand? How does this person breathe? How do they feel? What's their body language? What are they wearing? This version has the most amazing relationship. This version has money consistently coming in, and I really have them look at that version of themselves, of course, in their consciousness. And then I do this thing where I say, now step into that version. Feel what that version is feeling, see what that version is seeing, feel that version's energy, and and there's not one person that says, James, I'm not able to connect with that version. Here's what I'm doing in that moment. They didn't move. They
Right.
didn't move. Their
Right.
consciousness moved
Right.
from the version of them that I started talking to the version of them that was their greatest self. Their body didn't move. And so we have the ability to, in consciousness, and I mentioned a movie to you. Some of your viewers may or may not have seen it. It was
Yeah.
an
Right.
Oscar winner. It's about parallel realities. It's called Everywhere. It's called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And one of the things, it's for me, it's like my second The Matrix. Like it's a documentary to me.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but in that moment, when one version of the self shifts to another version of the self, his head goes back. Like his head goes back, and now he's this new version. When you think about body language, I did this I think I was teaching a class or something. I said, if I'm worried about life, my body language may be like, where's this money going to come from, or how am I going to get my relationship? But if I do this, I am now in a more empowered state.
Hmm.
I have now shifted from defeat to power.
Hmm.
Which is essentially I've shifted from that version of me to this version.
Hmm.
And now I will see my reality from that perspective. Here, I see my reality from this perspective.
Hmm.
Here, more empowered, I see reality from that perspective.
Hmm.
So even just shift in your body language is an indication of I'm seeing my reality from the perspective of a different version of myself.
Hmm. I was going to say, and you're using kind of physical example, but I think it's also really explaining what may be a more fundamental or basic principle that you and I understand that maybe not everybody else understand. What you're really explaining, giving a physical example of is is the same thing that happens to us with mindset. Wherever our mind is exactly the way that we are going to take in the information, take in the experience, take in the interaction with someone, and it then gets shifted in our interpretation of what we are experiencing, of what that interaction is, of what is going on in our lives, because of the way that we have our mind seated, for the lack of a better term, and to parallel the physical example you just gave, right? Wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
that can definitely apply there for sure. When you say that, it reminds me of this something that I've been doing lately.
Mhm. I'm like,
For
oh, I want to
me,
hear all the
I've been
James secrets. What have you been doing lately? Because I want to know what you've been doing. Maybe I need to try it too.
for me, I'm not sure if you've heard of this teacher, Sri Narsakadatta Maharaj.
I
He
don't think
he
so.
talks about how his guru. He has a book called "I Am That." Definitely, whether you're watching this podcast or even Sierra, it's something definitely to look for. I'm sure you
I
can find a
am
free
that.
version of it.
Okay.
I am that. Um, and he talks about his guru. The only practice, the only process his guru gave him was to concentrate on the I am, whether you call it soul, whether you call it
Hmm.
consciousness, or just
Hmm.
concentrate on your divine beingness, and everything will spring forth from that. So what I've been doing lately is just really focused on and aware of who I am as awareness. So I am watching my thoughts, I am watching my body, I'm watching my mind. And so at times, if I have a defeating thought that wants to creep in, I am in consciousness watching that taking place, going, wait, I'm experiencing a reality where that version of me, that's how he thinks.
Hmm.
Let me shift to the reality where I'm thinking greater than that.
Hmm.
So it's the mindset piece is easy for, maybe easier for those to understand.
Hmm.
But in back of that is you being conscious of these, this is just almost basic spiritual waking, ascension, whatever. Consciously, you are aware of what the mind is
Hmm.
doing. You're making a decision that this is who I choose to be, or this is who I'm not choosing to be. But in either case, however you're thinking is an indication of two things. It's an indication of whether you're pointed out there or whether
Hmm.
you're pointed in.
Hmm.
But it's also an indication of what reality you are
Hmm.
occupying.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we are shifting through billions of parallel realities a second per second.
Yeah.
Um,
And I was just thinking, you brought up that, that awareness is what creates those two things. And I was thinking it is exactly you are that. Whatever
yeah,
whatever place and wherever you're standing in mentally, physically, emotionally, energetically, vibrationally, that is what you are. So
that
I
is
mean
what you
that's that
are.
whole I am that.
Yeah, whatever you are conscious of being,
Yeah.
you are that.
Right.
I'm really working with this in a way where I can articulate it perfectly. So I'm
Mhm.
still this is kind of still,
Mhm.
this is stuff that we intuitively know, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we gotta
It's hard to
know
put
how to
words to
teach it.
things sometimes. Yeah.
Right.
It really is.
But the truth is everything, this podcast of this moment is existing in consciousness, right? And so this is an outpicturing of what we are conscious of being or what we are conscious of. My point being, you can never ever experience something that you are not conscious of. You can like
Mm.
been on your mind, or this may have been, but it was just kind of shadowy. It wasn't like, but it came alive once you stepped into it, once you became conscious of the podcast with James. Why, when you woke up, you were conscious of waking up because you were in that, you were aware of that moment. Whatever moment you are aware of becomes your reality. I used to say it like this when I was doing it. You believe it, and so you see it. So now I say it like this: whatever you are conscious of being, you are that. That is what will form around you. As long as you hold that frequency, as long as you persist in that awareness, your reality, and I say you shift to that reality, but for lack of, don't want to confuse anybody, but I'll just say that reality forms around you. But my
Mm-hmm.
point is, whatever you are conscious of being, you are. And so you are not a victim to life. You're not a victim to what you are experiencing. You can be aware that this is what I'm experiencing right now, but I'm going to shift to an awareness of this being, looking, feeling, experiencing what I want to experience.
Mm-hmm.
So my bank account could be in the red right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
that could be the reality that I occupy. But if I am now aware that I am rich or a millionaire or whatever, and I now hold that energy, hold that body language, hold that perspective, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the big thing. Am I seeing life through the perspective of the version of self that I don't want to experience, or am I seeing life from the perspective of the version of me that I want to experience?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, wherever you are aware of being, whoever you are aware of being,
Mm-hmm.
you are that.
Right. And those old stories are some sticky shit. Like here's the thing. I get those concepts. I try and work with those concepts. I do those things for myself. I know lots of other people, and there are still times, I think, especially when you're first learning to work with that
Yeah,
energy and feel what that feels like, because I think it's really important that people have kind of a body connection of
mm,
actual feeling sensation in their body around when they're
yeah,
doing these things. Because for most of us, our minds, our ego, our conscious is chatty and
yeah.
not always nice, and it's not accurate, and it often has a
No,
false perception of real things. So if we can get to a place where we can recognize in our body, ooh, something just felt like it opened up, or ooh, something just felt like
mm,
it constricted, like whatever that is, I think that's an important key to that. So, but
yeah,
to know too that, and part of why I bring that up is because when you're first learning these practices and you're first trying to work with this, you can get yourself physically feeling a certain kind of way, and then the mind will start. And
yeah,
then that mind starts saying, listen, you can pretend this shit all day long, every day if you want to, but it don't make you pay the light bill, right? Like, I mean,
right,
that starts to happen. And so I just want to throw that out there to make sure everybody understands that, like, it's just like our healing journey for most people, or a spiritual awakening for most people, though it can be easy, but we're not taught that way. We're not conditioned or programmed to believe that. So until you get to a
yeah,
place where you do actually believe it, know it with all of your being, it's fucking hard. And so even these ideas, like, so be proud of yourself, be happy, be totally okay with the fact that I was able to hold that feeling of what it feels like to be a
yeah,
millionaire, you know, for 30 seconds. Okay, great. That really
right,
does mean something. It really does help shift things. It makes it easier for you to go longer and move into that energy more deeply and for a lasting period of time next time. So don't ever dismiss or discount that, like, all these things are practices, and we are unprogramming, we are unconditioning ourselves when we're moving back in. And also, just to throw out there, we were talking before we got on, and you were using the
mm,
example about like a mechanic, and you're like, well, maybe that's not the best. But no matter what it is that someone wants to be feeling and tap into
mm,
and shift and integrate into themselves, know that it is your own limitlessness.
yeah, yeah,
That all that is really happening is that you are connecting to a part of you that truly is limitless, that is truly divine, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, which has no limitations. You are a piece of that. And
Yeah.
so it really doesn't matter how many times you have to do it, it's still always going to be there. And it's still always available for you to step into fully and in your outside experience.
Yeah. 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 I love you saying that because I mentioned to you that I started my podcast last week. And my podcast is really chronicling the journey from January of 2023, maybe December 20, everything I journaled from that point to where I am now, so that my listeners can see the evolution,
Mm,
triggers, the I got it, I got it wrong, okay, I got it right, where I did inner child work, where I did, some other work,
mm-hmm,
but where I came to the ultimate realization of I am the eternal I. I am that I am. I am consciousness. I am the God self. And so, but it's seeing that early journey, similar to what you're saying, seeing that early journey where I got it right and then I didn't get it right, but I thought I should have it right. And okay, what did I do from there all the way to again where I am now,
mm-hmm,
where I can rest in a lot of the things that I understand now, as opposed to kind of reaching for. And I want to, and this may or may not resonate with people just yet, but I want to be clear that from where I stand as awareness, from where what I teach as a coach, those 30 seconds that you imagine yourself or that you are aware of being a different version of you, that's real. You are
mm-hmm.
in that moment. That. So for 30 seconds, you are literally a millionaire.
Absolutely.
And so
Isn't that
and
better than
so
none? Like,
yeah, right.
give yourself a
Right.
pat on the back, because isn't
Abs-
that better than 0 seconds? Hell
right.
yeah, it
Exactly.
is.
And it's not, I want to really make the point that it's not just something I did or, oh, this was so fun or no, you are in that moment that. You are in that moment that. And again, as Sierra pointed out, as I'm piggybacking off of that, the longer you're able to hold that experience, watch what happens.
Mm-hmm,
Watch what happens.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
for
life
sure.
is, it's life is just a projection, a hologram of your conscious state. It can't be any other way. It is, I am this, I am aware of this consciously, or maybe subconsciously, but this is an out picturing. This is a visual printout, I call it at times, of
Mm-hmm,
what your conscious state is. So if you shift your conscious state or occupy the room in consciousness where you are what you desire to be, this now has to change. It has to change because it doesn't have any life. It doesn't have any, doesn't have any control over you. It doesn't have any power. All it can ever do is mirror. That's all it can ever do is mirror your conscious state. So if you feel defeated, you will have experiences that validate you being defeated. If you feel like you are an overcomer, you will have experiences where you overcome. It's just you're just projecting it all. You don't get to choose. I was thinking about this as I was preparing for us. I remember writing this in my journal somewhere. It's like say you're wrestling with your worth. It's like you get together with other people and you go, okay, here's a script for today. We're gonna work with self-worth. So I'm gonna need you to call me, maybe call me a name or something, or I need you to not like something about me. Okay, everybody go play their part. And action. And so now
mm-hmm,
that's what we are, that's what we are experiencing. Everybody's just playing the role based on the script that we give them. Here, I'm feeling as if I'm abundant, as if money flows to me easy and effortlessly. Okay, so what James, what I think I'll do is I'll call you and give you some money, or another person may show up as a client. All right, we got the script and action. And so,
Mm-hmm.
so everybody's just playing out the roles based on the script that we give them. And
Mm-hmm.
that script is written based on what you hold in consciousness, based on what you
Mm-hmm.
are aware of being.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
nobody's doing anything, everybody's just responding to you.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking that, a few minutes ago when you were talking, you were saying about like victim consciousness and stuff. And I was like, know that you choose that. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's right or wrong that you choose it, but don't be mad that the world responds to you, that you keep getting, like, you decide to say, I am my trauma. You decide
yeah,
to say, shit always goes wrong with me. My relationships are always with narcissists and abusive people.
yeah,
I am
yeah.
always taken advantage of by bosses who overwork me and whatever your story is. Yep.
That's the
Yes.
script.
Yes.
Yeah,
And do you want a different one?
yeah,
Then
yeah,
you have to consciously choose, I put that down. And I understand, we both understand that that's not always easy. There's part
no,
of me that, as a coach, as a healer, says, well, if you feel like that is way too hard, then you just don't want it enough and you ain't ready. um, because when you are sick of yourself, you'll be like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm done with it.
yeah,
I do not
yeah,
want this to be my story anymore. I'm
right.
done. I'm done with it.
Absolutely. And even easy or hard is a story. Even though,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I tell people, don't judge the experience. Just be in it. Just, this is what I'm doing. This is my process. Don't. And obviously, we, as we're evolving, we're still leaning to the appearance of being human and all that stuff. So I think you mentioned earlier, still be gentle with yourself, but always
Mhm,
try to get to the place where you're not judging. Anything is if you're going to judge something, just call it easy, but don't call it hard or difficult or
mhm,
whatever, because
mhm,
that's continually going to be, that's what you are
mhm,
creating. You're
mhm,
creating it being hard.
mhm.
And so don't judge it, just be aware of
Yeah. It even before I had the level of understanding that I have now at this point, even when I was younger, I used to always be like, don't ask God for more patience. Don't ask him for more patience. Don't ask him for more strength, because you are going to be presented with experience after experience that tries your patience,
it. Yep,
tries your patience, tries your
yep,
patience, and
yeah,
causes you to step into a space where you feel like you need to summon strength, more strength than you already have. And so I was
yes.
saying that the episode that I released last week, which you'll love if you haven't listened to, by the way.
Mhm.
But I was saying that I've been, one of the things that I was saying in my head, my own mantra that I have right now is that my life is an example of ease, faith, and my own limitlessness.
Yes,
I don't, I
yes.
don't, I'm not prescribing to another channel. I'm not prescribing to something else.
Right. Stay in that room. That's and
Yeah.
that's for those who came through religion, like Sarah and myself. There's the Bible verse that in my Father's house there are many mansions. What that's really saying is that there are many states of consciousness to be
Mhm,
occupied,
mhm,
and whichever one you are aware of, your I amness goes and prepares that place for you, so that where you are consciously, you will now be physically. I think the ending of it is that where I am, there you may be also. That I amness is your consciousness, is your soul. So it's what room in consciousness are you choosing to
mhm,
occupy? And
mhm,
again, it's nothing that's life is not happening to you. Nobody's doing anything. It's all based on what room you're occupying, and that becomes projected because consciousness doesn't judge anything as good or bad. Soul doesn't judge anything as right or wrong. It just projects. That's all it does. It just projects.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you hold in the mind, it's just going to project.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, hey, are you really sure you want to do this? This is not going to probably feel good. It doesn't do that. It just goes, okay, projection.
Yep.
Okay,
Here you go.
projection. Exactly.
Yeah.
Here you go. So it doesn't judge. It just projects.
One of the things that I was actually thinking about earlier today, this morning before I got on with you, I was thinking about how I've had these moments the last couple weeks where I was like, oh, a previous version of me manifested this. Like I can remember
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago really feeling all this excited energy and like, oh, I really wanted this. And then this version
Yeah.
of me right now is the one that's getting it. And I was
Yeah.
like, there's not a lot of people that I talk to that can understand that. And it's super trippy and mind bendy because I'm not explaining it in the way that the sensation feels it. It's like in those moments, I have a real conscious awareness that in that moment, me 6 years ago, who was looking for this particular thing, felt really
Yeah.
excited about it, is making this version of me right now find it right now. Like both
I love
things
it.
are happening simultaneously. It's just
Simultaneously.
in
Yes.
parallels.
Absolutely. Because 6 years ago,
It's so
you
fun.
sensed this version of you who was experiencing it. This already was. I tell
And it's like a
people
thinning
this
of the
is it.
veil, right? Is that like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I would describe it is like that there's a veil between our consciousness of these parallel timelines or these parallel realities that are existing. And every once in a while, you have these moments, well, you can have these moments where it feels real thin. And it's like you can almost touch your other self doing this
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
you now.
Yeah. 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 That's a great example. I tell, and it's what I mentioned earlier. We talked about this earlier. The moment that you become conscious of something, it exists in that moment. And so that version of you, the moment you became conscious of that version of you existed. And really, it's only because we are so tied to time, to the
Mm.
illusion of time, that we have to watch what already is unfold in time. It already is. Even when you think about your dream state, you go from one scene to another scene, just like that.
That's a good
But
point. Yeah, that's a good example.
right, but because we're so tied to time, we have to watch again what already is. This Sierra already was living this life, experiencing what that version of you was just thinking about. And
Mhm.
so it was just watching it all unfold in time. But it already was. It already
And we
was.
don't have to. We don't have to wait for it to
Yeah,
unfold. I've not
we
figured out
don't.
that
We
key
don't.
fully yet. Have
It's
you?
the
Have you been able
I
to
haven't.
collapse and make things show up more closely to being instantaneously?
I have to some degree. I
Oh, good
have.
for
This
you.
is this is what I'm working on now. This is I got from the Matrix. We talk about spiritual wounds,
Mhm.
and I remember there's a scene in there where Neo it's an elevator scene, and he's mindful that he's not subject to any laws, whether it's law of gravity and so he has a conversation. It's really quick, like you miss it, him talking to himself, and then he goes on to do what he imagined that he could do. But as consciousness, as divine beings, even spiritual laws, we exist outside of that. Anything that is a concept, we exist outside of that. Like concepts are related to the appearance of our
Mhm.
humanness.
Mhm.
It's not related to who we are as the God self, soul, consciousness, whatever. just like healing or spiritual awakening. We're already awake. We're already whole, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to
Yeah,
experience
you and
that.
I talked about this on our last
Yeah,
episode. Like it's
right.
already here. There's nothing to do.
There's nothing to
Yeah.
do. But again, because we're so tied to these concepts or these ideas or time, we oftentimes have to watch it unfold to experience what already is. Like there's never been a day when we've not been whole. We've only witnessed this appearing human body, this mind-body construct, awakening or not being whole or whatever. Now those have happened. Those I've experienced instantly. I'm pretty sure I probably talked on this on last episode. Two people who had cancer.
Yes.
One doctor couldn't do anything about it. That was about 3 sessions, But the last one, I just told her, "You don't have cancer." She texted me two days later from the doctor, "There's no cancer." So as instant as that can be,
Mm-hmm.
they're all like that.
What's the key you're using for yourself, though, for your own sort of? I always hate to use the word manifest because it's been bastardized so much.
Yeah,
It's a real world. It means to bring into the now. And
yeah,
yet, it's become, like I said, quantum jumping seems to be the new manifesting.
yeah.
And
That's why I
technically they're the
say
same thing, honestly. It's
right.
exactly what we're talking about. But um have you, rather than wait for things to unfold, have you, or can you share like some kind of tip, or I really am selfishly asking for myself. I feel like I
Well,
too have things where it comes in real fast. It's usually like the mode of like a psychological healing or a karmic from myself as well as for others. I can, like you're saying about the cancer, or like I said, something with myself, the inner child work. Honestly, that was really one of the things that I was going to talk to you about, is that I
yeah.
really experienced that collapsed time when I started doing inner child work more recently, because I used to think inner child work was a lot of bullshit. But the idea of understanding that child version of me can hear me, connect to
Mhm.
me, experience me now, and that then causes this ripple which shows up in my life and in myself and in my being now,
Yeah,
because it's all happening at the same time. I'm super in
yeah,
love with. And that I feel really like the impact of doing that inner child work from the place of understanding that I'm like meeting her in more of a quantum space rather than
yeah.
like some Jungian exercise.
So,
Anyway.
so I love that. I also mentioned that part of my journey was doing inner child work.
Yeah, yeah, you
But
brought
this
it
is,
up. Yeah.
yeah, but this is what I understand now. Sierra, James, we were never born. There, we've only ever been sold. Just like we
Oh,
don't
damn.
die, we were never.
Oh, damn. Okay. I mean, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong when you
but
you're not
but
wrong.
those are the things that we have to go through, of course, to get to the point where we now see. Oh, that's so it's I definitely don't want to invalidate your experience, definitely don't want to invalidate anybody else's experience. I would definitely, hey, if you feel, talking to the audience, if you feel that that's the path, that's your next path, definitely take it. Definitely do the inner
Mm-hmm.
child work. I did it, Sierra's doing it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But it's all to lead you to the truth that 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 you were never born, you will never die, you're only soul, you're only consciousness. You
Mm-hmm.
can witness or you can dream a dream that you were born or that you were this version of yourself. Like I said, as I think I said this earlier in the when we started, as consciousness, I have chosen to express myself as a 54-year-old man
Right.
named James, but this is not who I am.
Right.
this is just the character avatar that I have chosen.
These are
This
just the
makes
labels that
total
we put
sense.
on ourselves to
Right,
explain.
right,
Yeah.
right. But yeah, so take it, for anyone, I definitely encourage you to travel the healing journey or whatever journey you have to, you have to get on. Um, because people do find relief in these things, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately it's to put you to the point where you recognize you never ever had to do a process. You never ever had to do a practice. I don't meditate. I don't do breath work. I don't affirm anything. But
Yeah.
those were parts of the journey when I
Right.
first started.
Yeah. I think that to myself sometimes. Sometimes when am gonna take myself in to like do some kind of exercise, um, though I really like meditating. Or like I
And
was
that's
saying about
great.
the affirmation, the mantra that I'm currently using for
Yeah,
myself. Like I'm not obsessed about it. It's not in my car on post-it notes on my mirror. It's none of that stuff. It's just that
yeah,
it's something that I kind of constructed that when I feel like I want that and I want that boost and I want to remind myself because I am still having a human experience.
yeah.
Um and yeah, but at the end of the day, also, we don't need it. We
Right.
don't need that.
Everything plays its part.
Yeah.
As our higher self, as soul, it would not lead us into those experiences to meditate or to do mantras if it did not know that the ultimate outcome is that we're going to be aware that we never needed it. But
Mhm.
it leads us in that way, or our true self leads us in our character avatar, as our character avatar, in that way, because we know this is the next step. And now this
Mm,
is going to be the next step to finally get us, because it's all just pointing. It's all just pointing to what maybe we haven't fully grasped yet. We're still all trying to grasp it, that I am something infinitely greater than all of this. And
mhm,
that this gets to be my playground when I truly understand who I am and my power. I can make this dream look like whatever I want it to look like just
mhm,
by being aware that I am now that, or I am
mhm,
now in this dream. I have this
mhm,
relationship with this amount of money, doing this with my not.
mhm,
It's all illusion, but we get to play in it once we
mhm.
truly start understanding more and more of who we are and our power.
Yeah. Once we stop playing into the game that there is separation
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes. That's when you
between.
said
I mean,
manifest.
that's all these things are. This idea that we have to
Yeah.
fix something, heal something. I mean, I have known for many years now, Spirit had given to me the title of a book that I know I have all the pieces to. I just got to step out there and do it. But anyway,
Same. Same.
and it's broken things and the will to try again. And the reality is that the crux of the whole book is to explore these areas in which we identify ourselves as broken or needing healed
Mhm.
or fixed, and it
Right.
doesn't exist. None of it
Doesn't
is true.
exist.
These are the stories that we tell ourselves that create separation from our power, our sovereignty, our ability to create, to play, to experience life in all its fullness and limitlessness.
So powerfully said. You said that so powerfully.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thanks.
That encapsulates a lot. Even when you mention that manifestation, because I don't like the word manifestation either. That manifestation is to
Ugh,
bring
ugh.
something into the now.
Yeah.
Wait, everything exists in me.
Now.
There's nothing separate from me. There's no
Hmm.
relationship separate from me. There's no money separate from me. Everything exists in me.
Hmm.
So how do I attract something? That's just separate. That's just
I
blatant
know.
separation.
And they teach you that you have all these blocks. You know how
Yeah.
you can't get on any kind of social media, every freaking email list. They're all like, I'm going to help you get rid of your blocks. I'm going to help you get rid of your blocks. I'm going to help you get rid of your blocks. I even use that language sometimes with
Yeah.
people. And I use it in all fairness because it's relatable to people and because they believe they have a block. So the same way you talked about the two people that came to you with cancer, they believed that they had cancer, that this was going to make them sick. Did you technically do anything? Maybe, maybe not. That's for whoever's listening to decide. At the end of the day, what you did do is show them that that doesn't have to be true.
Right. That is not
It's
the
just an
truth at
illusion.
all.
It's just an idea of
Exactly.
separation from our perfect and wholeness. That's it.
Exactly. And I'm gonna give you this, Sierra. This is what I understand about who I am as soul, as the operant power in my reality.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people that if something shows up in my reality, like cancer, I just had a client who was living in her car for about 3 weeks. You know, a week after talking to me, she was in a brand new apartment. Nothing shows up in my reality that I don't agree with. In other words, cancer isn't the truth. And so cancer can't stay in my reality.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody living in their car, when I know that our inherent nature is abundance, can't stay in my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So those things have to shift. Even the people that show up with what appears to be challenges, that's still a reflection. Don't get
Mm-hmm.
it twisted. That's still a reflection, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a reflection of the egoic mind, right? Like, but as long as we abide in truth, that wait, this person is a soul. They're complete wholeness. Wholeness can't have cancer. Oh, James, the cancer's gone. Yeah, because in my reality, I only abide by the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So even when people show up in your reality, you have the ability to shift that experience. You have the ability to shift that experience independent of what appears to be an independent person.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that is, I call it ego reflections. Because here's the thing that I've been given to a lot of people lately, and it's from the Bible. It's when Jesus in the wilderness. So I always say Jesus is still my God.
Mm-hmm.
When when Satan came to him, which I personally just ascribe that to the egoic mind, even though
Mm-hmm.
it may be personified as a Satan, but it's just the egoic mind.
Me too.
The
Yeah.
very first thing that he's presented with is, if thou be the Son of God. We are always, life is always going to challenge us, whether in our mind or as an egoic reflection. Are you who you say you
Mm.
are? Are you
I love
who you are?
that.
And then now the next thing is, how do you respond to that?
Mm-hmm.
Some people they fall under depression. They gotta, they gotta wait till the next lesson comes along, or next opportunity comes along for them to overcome. But as Jesus stood in his awareness that he was, that's the same. So I don't care what shows up in my reality, you're not gonna make me blink. I know who I am. And so this can't stay.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
mean, that's what
how
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking, first of all, you have to know who you really are, A,
I know who you really are.
and B, you need to remember you are exactly who you say you are. So if you
Exactly.
say yourself, I'm broke, heartbroken, nobody wants me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
homeless, I'm the victim all the
Mm-hmm.
time, whatever, are you?
Right.
Are you? And there is a journey, there is an uncovering. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
painful, but for most of us it is, because that's still the programming, the vibration that we subscribe to and that we're functioning at, which is actually something I want to ask you. But
Yeah.
um, you know, we believe that there's a journey there, but it can be overcome. You can get to a place where you not just want to choose to believe of yourself as powerful, sovereign, co-creative, divine, abundant, in love,
Mm-hmm.
loved, all that stuff. And then move into a space where you can believe it, and then move into a space where you know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And it starts with choosing. It starts with saying, I'm going to keep remembering to go back to that version of myself. And what I
Yeah.
really wanted to, what I wanted to ask you, because this popped into my brain a couple times as I've listened to you talk, is, we've kind of been talking a lot about like thinking, like your thoughts, your mindset part of it. Where do you think the vibrational frequency side of it comes from? Like, do you think that mindset, working on your beliefs, changing those beliefs will automatically change your vibration, your frequency, your energy? How do you
It
see
has to,
that? Do you relate to
like,
that?
to somewhat, because everything is energy. Any change is going to change the frequency or change the energy, right? So if you're at the place where, you know what, I'm just not where Sierra is, I'm just not where James is, I'm more comfortable doing the mindset stuff and working through blocks and all that kind of stuff, that's still going to have an effect. It's not, for me, it's not the quickest, most efficient and effective way,
Mm-hmm.
because but it's ultimately doing the same thing. It's taking you from one place in consciousness to a different place in consciousness. So it's absolutely going to change the energy. But here's the thing about, if you do something in mind or around mindset, there's always the propensity to shift back into where you were.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, because here's the thing: the only thing that's eternal is consciousness. That's the only thing that's unchanging. So really going into the soul, going into consciousness or your heart space, which is the gateway to soul, getting into that eternal space where nothing ever changes is always the most efficient way. Mindset may be there that day, may be there for a whole some months, you may be there for a year, but because it's you can has the ability to go back. That's why Jesus would say, "Sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon you." What
Mm-hmm.
he was essentially saying was, continue to think the way you've been thinking, because if you start thinking differently, something worse is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So mindset is a tricky ground for
Mm-hmm.
me, but it definitely has its benefits, and it's really just shifting you into a different state of consciousness, different awareness of being. Um, but I've seen people, I've had clients, and I'm sure you might have as well. Well, they will say to you, "Oh, and I know that. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I
All
still
the time.
doing it?"
All the
Exactly.
time.
That's because mind can be tricky.
Mm-hmm. I know. There was something that we were talking about earlier that made me think of questioning around repeating patterns and like people can break out of that and all that. And I was like, no, I'll save that for another one. Because I didn't want us to go down that tangent, honestly. I was like, oh, we could stay on here for hours.
Forever,
One
forever.
question that I do want to squeeze in here before we wrap up is,
Okay.
you talked about being able to have this different experience because we know ourselves in a different way as we are experiencing it. And so it shifts things, right?
Yeah.
How does that relate to other people? Because, certainly the way that we experience and perceive our interactions with somebody else are going to change. Does it actually change the other person? Like part of what I'm thinking is like, um, you know, the person maybe that has a really challenging relationship with their mother,
Yeah.
or their father or a sibling. And so they're doing their own work. They have shifted and changed. So of course those interactions by nature are going to have, less emotional charge out of them, right? It's not going to throw them off anymore because they are shifting their experience. They are creating the experience of someone that has a peaceful, cohesive experience that's loving and supportive with the other person.
Mhm.
So my
Mhm.
question is, does it then also change the other person?
I'm gonna be straightforward with you. We never change anybody.
Mm-hmm.
We just shift to the reality where we are experiencing that person differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the work that we do on ourselves may not necessarily shift us to it will shift us to a reality where we are now that version, but we may still experience that version of them. Everyone is you pushed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have to be intentional about seeing them different. I have to be intentional about experiencing them differently. Now I've shifted to the reality where I am experiencing them differently, where
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing them differently. So it's not retroactive to you working on you. That's going to be great for you. But
Mm-hmm.
until you see them, maybe somebody who's very disagreeable, you start seeing them as agreeable. Like, oh, well, thank you. Like, unless you get into that energy, you're
Mm-hmm.
still going to experience it. And just as I mentioned before about the Jesus in the wilderness, there will be initially that version of them that goes, are you sure you are who you say you are? Or are you sure that you see me the way you feel like you see me now?
Mm-hmm.
So you still get some resistance as the ego trickles out. But ultimately, and I've seen this time, this is a part of the workshop I was telling you. This is a part of the workshop that I'm doing in 2 weeks because I've actually given that to so many people in the past couple of months who have literally changed their relationships with
Mm-hmm.
friends, one with her mother, one with her ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
seeing them differently. Because again, they're only showing up the way we expect them to show up, how
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
imagine that they're going to show up. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine them showing up differently.
Mm-hmm. I knew you'd have a great answer for that. That's why I wanted to ask you. I was like, he'll explain this in so way better than me. So way
I
better than I
appreciate
am.
that.
I love that. That's awesome. So you just mentioned you've got a class coming up in 2 weeks. Tell everybody all about that. Tell them how they can connect to you. I mean, we got people you're helping get whole from cancer. We got people you're helping move from living in their car to an apartment in like a week. I mean, this is some powerful big shit. People need to connect to you. They need to know about you, and
I
certainly if they want to work with you. So tell them about the workshop. Tell them then how they can follow you, connect with you, learn all about you.
So the workshop is called Soul Power, and it's free. There is a VIP access where you get one-on-one time with me, but the 3-day workshop um, begins on September the 8th, I believe, and it's free. You can email me at jvalentine. I don't have the link with me, so just email me at jvalentine1043 at gmail. And it's interesting because it's everything we talked about, but it's just going
Mm-hmm.
deeper. The first
Love
day
that.
is who are you? And it's really being able to connect with who you are is so really being able to identify that aspect of yourself. The second day is everyone is you pushed out, how to change how life and people show up for you or respond to you. And then day three is just reality shifting, which is, seeing life from the perspective of who you want to be and not, again, occupying that room of who you don't want to be. Really, how to shift, whether we call it quantum jumping or whatever. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I call it reality shifting. It's how to shift to your desired reality and hold that vibration, hold that frame.
Perfect.
And yeah, so yeah, the same. Yeah, I think I just gave you how to contact me.
I'm
Just
signing
drop me
up.
a
I'm
line.
not even gonna lie. I'm gonna sign up totally because I know because every conversation with you, even the stuff that I see on your Instagram, because I'm on that platform more than I'm on the other ones
Yeah,
these days. I'm like, yeah, because I I always get something from you. So I'm totally
I
signing up,
appreciate that.
and I'm gonna share as soon as you start posting about it. If you haven't already, I'm gonna be sharing that shit because I know it's good.
You,
I know it's so
you know,
good.
we have an amazing love affair, Sarah. I absolutely love
Yeah,
you. Appreciate you so
I
much.
love you.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I thank you for extending your platform to me. It's always an amazing time. It's always a good fun time.
I was saying it's so fun. It's so like juicy, deep fun. I know.
Yeah,
I love being
yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah.
I am so so humbled and grateful that you decided to come back on with me again. Thank you so much.
You could have said, meet me on a mountain in Montana in the back of a shed, and I'd be like, okay, let me figure out how to get there. I would have been there.
Oh my gosh. Let's make it
Yeah.
easier than that. We'll figure out how to get together in person in not in the back of the shed on the mountaintop in Montana, but whatever.
Love it. I love it. I love it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you to all the sojourners who go on this journey with me every episode, tuning in to hear things that are really going to help you connect to your real self. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and follow so that you can catch the next one. Thanks so much.